West Virginia just picked up a massive win over Coppin State in Morgantown. We've got you covered here with this recap of the 42-point blowout win for the Mountaineers. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. All right, welcome in everybody to another episode of Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. My name is Troy, and again, this is your place, your one-stop shop for all things Mountaineers. This is Mountaineer Moment, episode 107, talking about the West Virginia win, their 7th of the season in the victory over the Coppin State Eagles by a final score of 91-49. West Virginia was backed by an impressive second half to put this one on ice and then some. Just a great offensive performance and a stellar defensive performance in the second half against Coppin State. We're going to look at the box score. We're going to give a few different takeaways from this game, and it's not like these are like earth-shattering pieces that I'm going to give you because it was Coppin State, and they are bad. Came in with a 2-8 record and left Morgantown 2-9, struggling a lot this season and not picked to do well in the preseason poll in their conference, as we talked about in the pregame coverage that we provided here on Mountaineer Moment. But there are some things that you can take away from this game, some things that maybe you already knew that are further established. We'll take a look at West Virginia's rotation. We'll look at the box score. Some things to point out there, but we'll start with this. West Virginia gets to 7-2. Again, another game you should have won. I mean, Mountaineers were favored by 30-plus points in this one. Coppin State, not good, and you took care of business. You did what you were supposed to do. You put up a lot of points, which was good. You put up 51 in the second half and allowed just 17 points from Coppin State. Again, it was a rather impressive defensive clinic, you could say, even for West Virginia against Coppin State. And again, context is king. You're playing Coppin State, and so you should have beaten them by a lot. You were supposed to, and you did just that. And what I will say, again, as we kind of just start here, I mean, it's important to be able to just start stacking wins and keep stacking wins because you only got a few more left until conference play begins. And then, I mean, obviously every win you get is massive. And, if you want to reach the NCAA tournament, again, it's early December. That's a long way off. But a win in early December matters. And we're going to talk about another opportunity that Mountaineers are going to get against Wake Forest coming up, this weekend. And that's big. That matters. And if you can just find ways to just win basketball games and win and win and win, then you might find yourself in the big dance here in a few months. And, everybody has a magic number in mind as to what that looks like, 19 wins, 20 wins, whatever it is. The truth is, the fact is, what we do know is that West Virginia is at 7 right now after this blowout win over Coppin State. Still, a sour taste in your mouth after the trip to Charleston. Before Thanksgiving, the loss to Clemson and Xavier, and dropping 2 right there back-to-back in 3 days. And since then, Mountaineers have won 2 in a row, continue to stack wins, and again, an opportunity this weekend against a pretty good Wake Forest team in Charleston, West Virginia, for the Mountaineers to pick up a signature win, whatever you want to say, just pick up a win against a power conference opponent, Wake Forest of the ACC. So keep doing it. Keep winning games, and yeah. So let's take a look at this box score for the 91-49 win for West Virginia. West Virginia was led by Honor Huff's 17 points, 5 of 14 from 3 for him. He was getting them up early and often. Chance Moore, in 20 minutes off the bench, he had 17 points on 6 of 8. Knocked down 5 of his 6 free throws, which is encouraging. Had 4 boards and an assist to go along with that, a couple blocks and a steal. Couple offensive rebounds. I think one or maybe both were on free throw misses, and obviously a great athlete, so incredibly gifted going downhill toward the basket. He is a force, and he showed that once again in his now third game in a West Virginia uniform, 17-point performance off the bench in 20 minutes. You'll take that all day, every day from Chance Moore. A few other guys in double figures. Eagle staff had 11 points, knocked down 3 out of 8 from beyond the arc. Belo in 17 minutes had 12 points. He got in a little early foul trouble. 4 boards, 2 assists for him. Jackson Fields in his second game as a Mountaineer had 9 points, 4 of 5 shooting, 4 boards, 4 assists. You like that in his 14 minutes played. Very involved, active, getting the job done in his 14 minutes. DJ Thomas had 10 minutes. That's something obviously to keep an eye on. We said that in the pregame coverage here on Mountaineer Moment. Keep an eye on where these minutes are going to come from now that Fields and Moore are back in the fold. 10 minutes for Thomas, 8 points, 3 of 4 shooting. Amir Jenkins, 24 minutes. The kid just continues to impress. More on him in just a moment, but 8 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, and 3 steals for Amir Jenkins. Ugasuk had 2 points, both coming up at the free throw line, 0 of 3 from downtown for him in 15 minutes. Obi-Oha back in the starting lineup will round it out. Obi-Oha, 17 minutes, 3 points, 5 boards. Jasper Floyd, 28 minutes, 4 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals for him. So West Virginia notably has their full repertoire of guys available as of the last 2 games, right? Moore came back in game number 6, and Jackson Fields came back in game number 8 against Mercyhurst, now played in his second straight, coming here against Coppin State, and you're encouraged by that. But West Virginia has everybody available. Ross Hodge has everybody available to do what he wants to do. And so, there's obviously lots of guys sharing minutes right now, and admittedly, Ross Hodge still figuring out rotations and things like that as to how this is really going to look, because obviously they fully believe they have 10 guys that can play and should play and will play. We've seen that the last 2 games, right? So every guy off the bench had, those 5 guys off the bench, even though it was a 42-point game in the end, all 10 of these guys, including all 5 off the bench, played double-figure minutes for West Virginia. Most notably, again, led by Honor Huff, 29, Jasper Floyd, 28, Eagle Staff, 26, Amir Jenkins, 24, Chance Moore, 20. But everybody else had 10 or more minutes, and the low man was DJ Thomas with 10. So, these guys are playing. And, the one thing that does for you, now, again, it's a 42-point game, and so, maybe if it was tighter, the guys that were playing well would have played more. However, this does tell you something, and Ross Hodge, I unless something happens, unless someone really just works their way out of the lineup or someone works their way into significantly more minutes, you're going to see a rotation of fresh bodies in and out, in and out, in and out, and it should bode well for, your legs late in the game, because no one's being burnt out, certainly in this game against Coppin State. And, we've seen it in previous games as well. Ross Hodge is subbing, and that's due in large part because he likes the 10 guys that he has to be able to play with. So, again, 91-49 for West Virginia. Due in large part to a very impressive second half. So West Virginia took an 8-point lead into halftime against Coppin State. Coppin State started well. West Virginia couldn't do anything. It was, I think, a 9-2 lead for Coppin State, and then West Virginia turned it on, took a 40-32 lead into halftime, and again, they're favored by 30-plus points, so that wasn't really cutting it. Ross Hodge mentioned in his halftime, interview there on the court, mentioned that defensively, you're not staying in front of guys enough. He didn't like, obviously, that they'd give it up 32 points because, his MO, his calling card is on the defensive end of things. And then offensively, he said, we just weren't knocking down shots from beyond. And, some of that obviously continued in the second half. West Virginia didn't shoot the lights out. Shot at 47% from the floor for the day and 11 of 34 from 3, 32%. Knocked down just 20 of 33 free throws for 61%. Honor Huff shot 6 technical free throws with Coppin State's coach getting ejected in early on, and then he got a couple more technicals in the second half. He made just 2 of 6 from beyond from the charity stripe for Honor Huff. So interesting there for such a good shooter. But, this game, West Virginia really, really turned up the pressure defensively in the second half. Anytime you allow any team anywhere to 17 points in a half is pretty significant. And then offensively, little shots started falling a little more frequently, and you got some more easy buckets too. And, just an encouraging second half, because the first half wasn't necessarily doing it for you, if you can say it that way. So, for Coppin State, just one man, Hassan Perkins, who we talked about pregame, had 11 points. He was the only guy in double figures for Coppin State who did not shoot it well, 31% from the floor and 3 of 14 from downtown. We said, this is not a very good three-point shooting team, and that proved to be the case. They were right near, maybe a little below their average for turnovers. They had 15 turnovers. They do not take good care of the basketball through the first 11 games, and so we knew that. Again, I keep mentioning like a pregame, coverage that we provide here on Mountaineer Moment. So if you don't know, Mountaineer Moment, every game so far, we've given you a pregame episode, an opponent preview, talking about some keys to victory, talking about just some things to watch for West Virginia with their upcoming matchups. And we're going to continue to do that. So if you're here and you're like, what in the world? What is this guy talking about? Well, here on Mountaineer Moment, we provide you with pregame and postgame coverage. And so this is a postgame coverage about West Virginia's win against Coppin State. And one of our next episodes will be a preview of Wake Forest coming up on Saturday and what you need to know about them. So if you like what you're hearing and you like the sound of that and you didn't know about it or didn't know it existed, hit that subscribe button for us and follow along with the Mountaineer Moment and all we've got covered for you for West Virginia football and basketball. Again, an impressive second half, and I'm going to give you a handful of takeaways, handful of things that, again, maybe not necessarily specific to this game, but just some things that I noticed throughout this game, maybe a trend that we've seen early in the season, or maybe a new development that we're gonna bring to the front of your mind too, right here. So, firstly, West Virginia, Amir Jenkins. I mean, he continues to impress me on the floor. I don't know about you, but he looks so good, and I'm so thrilled that he is a Mountaineer and is here right now this season. So he has been getting more minutes, getting more time, looking more comfortable, and we've seen this. Not the first game we've seen this, but I noticed it a good bit in the game against Coppin State. He was a part of a 3-guard lineup. I think he was the first man off the bench, and Jasper Floyd and Honor Huff were out there as well. Both in the first half and second half, we saw a 3-guard lineup featuring Floyd, Huff, and Amir Jenkins, and I'm not, I like it. I'm not sitting here saying like it's the most amazing thing ever or it's the worst thing ever. I'm just observing that we're playing that 3-guard lineup with those 3 guys on the floor significantly, with Amir Jenkins getting more minutes, looking more comfortable, and playing well, and again, running, getting into this role that he has, because he played 24 minutes tonight, 8 points, got to the line 10 times, or, I guess 5 times, 6 of 10 for him from the line. But he's really coming on, right? Against Mercyhurst, that was his most minutes played of 23 minutes, and he had 10 points. His first game scored in double figures, and then he followed that up with 24 minutes and 8 points and 6 rebounds and 2 assists and 3 steals. He's very active defensively, likes to get up in your grill, not afraid to go in around the basket, and, he's still working on that three-point shot a little bit. Made 1 out of 2 against Mercyhurst, 1 against Xavier, and 0 for 1 against Coppin State, a real open look he had in the second half that did not fall. But 6 rebounds is significant for this freshman guard, who just is really, really impressive. And again, I think it's solely because of how well he's playing, because incoming freshman didn't know exactly what you were going to get, how long it would take him to adjust. But with Jasper Floyd, Honor Huff, you knew what you were getting. Ross Hodge coached Jasper Floyd last year at North Texas. Honor Huff, we knew what he was capable of. But you're playing this 3-guard lineup because of what Amir Jenkins is doing and what he's proving with the minutes that he's been given. Another takeaway, and something we already hit on, but we'll hit on real quick again, is just the minutes and the rotations and how this whole thing's working out, because we get another game for the second time of West Virginia at full strength. And you see how it played out. Again, Jackson Fields has been good through his first 2 games as a Mountaineer. I'll pull up his numbers real quick. So against Mercyhurst, he had 9 points in 12 minutes, 3 boards, 2 assists. Against Coppin State, 14 minutes, 4 of 5 from the floor, 4 boards, 4 assists, and 9 points again. So he's continuing to get into the flow, get into the groove of being a part of this team. Chance Moore, obviously a significant impact that he is having through his first 4 games as a Mountaineer. 20 minutes for him, 17.6 of 8 from the floor. We just said that, but these guys are making an impact, and they're good, and we brought them here because they are, and we brought them here because we think Ross Hodge thinks that they can impact winning. Now, you're adding 2 guys into a team where, it wasn't that long ago West Virginia beat Pitt without both of those guys, beat Pitt by 20-plus points without both of those guys. Harlan Obioha went off, had a tremendous game, his best game as a Mountaineer. DJ Thomas went off, had his best game as a Mountaineer too. And, now the minutes of these guys is a little up for grabs, right? Because we saw over the last couple games more minutes without Thomas and Obioha on the floor because, you can play Chance Moore and Belo and Jackson Fields together and, not have a true big out there, but can still gang rebound and get things done. So look for that situation to continue to reveal itself over the course of the season as we inch closer to Big 12 play, because Obioha hasn't been particularly impressive over the last few games. Again, his numbers tonight, just 3 points, 1 of 4 for him. And again, that Pitt game is really the game on his season. 19 points, 8 of 9 shooting against Pitt. But his last 5 games, so since that Pitt game against Lafayette, 3 points, 1 of 5. Against Clemson, 0 points, 0 for 4. Against Xavier, 3 points, 1 for 3. Mercyhurst, 4 points, 2 for 4. Coppin State, 3 points, 1 for 4. So it is safe to say that he's struggling right now. Just is. And his minutes have gone down. Just 14 against Xavier and 20 against Mercyhurst and 17 against Coppin State. But this is a guy we need to be big, pun not intended. We need him to be good. We need him to play well. And, we don't want to see him work himself out of a rotation. Not that that's ever going to happen, but, fully. But you want to see him get back up to, against Pitt, he played 31 minutes, right? I mean, he was incredible. With 19 points, 31 minutes. Like, feed him the rock and let him go to work. And so hopefully that we will see again from Harlan Obioha. But again, it goes without saying, Chance Moore, Jackson Fields, their impact on this team is big, offensively and defensively. I'll make note of West Virginia's offense. And again, those comments made by Ross Hodge at halftime, getting open looks, just they weren't falling. And that continued, through the early parts of the second half. West Virginia really, really turned it on and, started scoring at will. Again, 51 points in the second half, but started really doing that toward the back end of the second half. So shots not falling, open looks not falling. And I'll say the same thing I said about Eagle staff and his struggles early. Keep shooting the ball. And, we believe that these guys can knock down shots and get open looks. It's encouraging to get open looks. I don't care if it's against Coppin State or Kansas or Houston or whoever. If you get open looks, that's something you got to live with. That's something you're going to be happy with. You just got to knock them down. So not reporting that one as a concern, but just an observation. West Virginia is getting open looks, and they got to start cashing in on them like they did late in the second half. I mentioned this one. I just got 2 more things for you, and then we'll get you out of here. But the first one is this rebounding that this team is playing with, or what they're doing to rebound the basketball. Mentioned it a moment ago. They're really gang rebounding, and I'll give you the example of that again against Coppin State. So as a team, they out-rebounded the Eagles 45-36. But rebounds, Trayson Eaglestaff, another great rebounding game for him, 8 boards. Obioha had 5. Jasper Floyd himself had 6, the point guard for this team. Amir Jenkins, the other point guard, had 6. Chance Moore had 4. Honor Huff had 3. Belo had 4. Like, Jackson Fields, again, mentioned his numbers. In 14 minutes, he had 4 rebounds. And so this is a rebounding by committee team. I'll give you the ones from Mercyhurst because it's kind of similar. Guys are not afraid to get in there, mix it up, get their hands dirty. West Virginia out-rebounded Mercyhurst by 17, 44-27, and it was much of the same. Eagle Staff, 8. Lorient, 5. Obioha, 5. Amir Jenkins, 3. Jackson Fields, 3. Chance Moore, 9 off the bench with 11 points in 16 minutes. So guys are getting after it, getting after the boards, crashing the glass, and, limiting second chance opportunities. And that's something that you want to continue to see as you inch closer toward Big 12 play. And if that's the identity of this team defensively and rebounding wise, then I'm good with it. Gang rebound, go in there. Amir Jenkins, don't be afraid to be a dog and mix it up and get in there and fight for a rebound. Again, I'm good with it. I'm good with that, especially if Harlan Obioha is going to, we don't hope that he would continue to struggle, but if he's going to continue to struggle, then these rebounds got to come from somewhere else, and you got to gang rebound again. The additions of Jackson Fields and Chance Moore cannot be overstated. Those guys are good. Seniors, veterans, been there, done that, experience on good teams, at this, not at this level, not in the power conference level, but, NCAA tournament experience for Fields at Troy last season, played against Kentucky in the first round. These guys can play some basketball, and you're definitely encouraged by what they bring, who they are, and just how they gang rebound. So this is a good thing for this team. And last but not least, as we look ahead to Wake Forest on the horizon Saturday against Wake Forest in Charleston, West Virginia, not South Carolina this time, ESPN2, 6 o'clock Eastern time for the tip. And what I'll say about that one, before we get into that extensive preview as I break down Wake Forest, who they are, numbers to know, players to know, what they've done this season, and what West Virginia needs to do, what we're going to look for from them. But before we get to that, a little teaser for that episode coming your way later this week. What I want to say here as we cap off episode 107 is West Virginia needs to find a way to bottle it up, right? To bottle up that second half energy that they brought, that second half effort that they brought, en route to winning a second half against Coppin State by a score of 51-17. Offense was clicking, defense was firing on all cylinders, and you were active. You have to find a way to take that, bottle it up, take it with you down to Charleston, West Virginia, and bring it against Wake Forest. You got to find a way to bottle that energy, bottle that connection, bottle that effort that you brought forth. Again, different step up in competition, but you can still bring effort. You can still bring toughness and grit and heart into that game against Wake Forest. So I want to see the West Virginia team that we saw in the second half against Coppin State, not necessarily the team we saw in the first half, offensively or defensively. So clean it up, get right, come ready to roll against Wake Forest. Would love to see you get off to a great start, and that would be because you can bottle this thing up and take it with you down to Charleston. So more, again, on Wake Forest coming up, and it's a big game. For December basketball, and again, not that many more non-conference opportunities for your team, this is an opportunity to pick up a win that could look good on a resume. Let's just say that, right? Let's just say that without getting too far ahead. But this has been episode 107 of Mountaineer Moment. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time. Let's go Mountaineers.